you got to realize that whatever you're doing, you're competing with somebody. What is it that gives you an advantage over your competition? Whatever you're good at, try to be great at it. And if you're great at it, good things will happen.
Maverick Podcast.
I'm far from average. That's why I had to come sit down and chop it up with DJ Maverick. They know my name from coast to coast and even in Dallas. I use my talent when I'm faced with a challenge. Gratitude strength is my magnet. Close your eyes and imagine. If you can see it in your mind, then you can have it.
Maverick Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. This is the Maverick Podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick. Today we have another rock star in the building. We have Aaron Valles, a.k.a. AV. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, thank you, bro. Thank you for inviting me.
Super excited. Before we dive into everything, for the 1% of the people out there that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Man, my name is Aaron. A lot of people know me by AV. I would say I'm just a creative individual, man. Unlike film, barbering, in the past 5-6 years, I've been really able to do something with barbering. I teamed up with my dad and we opened up a couple barbershops. We're in a good route with the barber game,
Yeah, you just celebrated. You opened up your second location, right?
Yeah, man. So we opened the first location 3 years ago, and then this opportunity came up, and we just jumped on it, and it's been going well so far. A lot of barbers have been wanting to tune in and join the team, so we're just running with it,
Yeah, congrats on that. I mean,
thank you, bro.
One location's hard enough, and then a second location. I mean, that's really cool.
And yeah, before that, I was doing it. I was already cutting hair, So it's been like a decade, probably more, like 12 years that I've been in the barber game,
Okay.
So it took a long time. To a lot of people, it may seem like, damn, this dude got a barbershop 30 years ago, and then now he's like.
They don't know about the grind, though, right?
Yeah, that and teaming up with my dad is a huge thing too. Like, okay. I don't want young barbers to feel like, damn, I don't have two shops.
Sure.
I wouldn't have two shops either if I wouldn't have teamed up with my dad. So I want to make that clear. That it wasn't like I saved every penny. I've had an investor basically and a partner to do it with. So combining both of our minds together has been beautiful, and I think that's why we've been able to move.
And it's also not an overnight success, right? So let's talk about that journey. Tell me a little bit of, growing up. What were you into? What was life like for you?
Well, man, I was born in Mexico. I was born in Juarez, El Valle de Juarez, Chihuahua.
Okay.
I wasn't even born in a hospital. I was born in a house with like what they call like a partera.
Yeah.
My mom had a really difficult time birthing me because I have a big ass head. So, yeah, man. My dad says that it was just a rough time. He said they had to use the dish soap, bro.
No way.
To slip me out of there.
Wow.
So they were trying all kinds of stuff.
Just home recipes, like just trying to like work it out at home and
for
stuff.
Sure,
right?
man.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. We grew up. It's basically poverty, like we didn't have a restroom inside the house. We would have to go outside to like what would they call it? It's like a porta potty,
like an outhouse kind of thing.
Yeah, like every house would have to like dig a hole and then build like a little wooden porta potty. Basically.
Imagine having to wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, we did.
Just go out in the dark and everything, right?
Or we would keep a bucket inside the house and then just dump it in the morning or whatever.
That's tough.
My mom would have to like heat the water in the stove to shower. Like it was real. But one thing though is that we always had my mom and my dad, So we were like poor or whatever, but it was we still had a lot of love in the house.
Yeah. I always tell my friends like I grew up with not a whole lot, but I didn't know it. Exactly. Because at the time when you're a kid, you're surrounded kind of by your friends are kind of in the same level and stuff. And then you start to grow up and then you start to realize, hey, maybe I don't have as many resources as some of these others, right?
I think my parents just were really resourceful. That was one of the things is like we could be eating like chorizo with crackers, salt crackers, and my mom would make it fun, like chop up cebolla, and like she would make it work, bro. And my dad, I'd think about it, I'm like, this dude used to get paid like $250, $300 a week, and then would have to make that last.
So you're supporting a whole family with that.
Yeah, man. Now 200. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that sounds
incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, think about it.
So payless shoes. We would My girl makes fun of me now because a lot of times she'll ask me if I've ate a certain restaurant, and I'm like, no. We need a restaurant, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So basically what happened is my dad eventually got tired of, not having enough. He like tried everything. He drove an ambulance. He had a carpentry shop. Okay. We had a little store. So he was always like an entrepreneur, but it couldn't hit. It was always like a struggling business, basically.
Yeah.
And he worked for the government when he drove the ambulance, so that was kind of cool. We had like good insurance and stuff, but still wasn't cutting it, So he decided he was going to come over here. He came for about a year and a half and just kind of left us there, would send money over there.
Okay.
And then eventually we had visas, so then we came over here. And we've been here ever since,
Got it. Like, what age was that? You basically went to school, elementary, middle school? Like
I was going to third grade, I think, because I remember they held me back a year. So I don't quite remember, but I remember I was like 6, 7 years old.
Okay.
And I had to redo the third or second grade. I don't remember, but I had to redo it here because I didn't speak English or anything. And it was cool, though. I learned decent English within like a year to where like I could kind of understand. But it sucked at first, like.
Was there like an adjustment period?
Not necessarily bullying. It was just a matter of not knowing how to communicate would get me in sticky situations. Like, I remember this kid would be sitting down in the gym and he would kick me in the back. And then I didn't know how to tell, I didn't know how to be like, hey, like this dude is kicking me.
Yeah.
So one day eventually I turned around and I punched him or I pushed him or something. And then he came at me crazy, started punching me. And then by the time the teacher came, I couldn't explain what happened. So then I got suspended.
You got in trouble? Jeez.
And so it was stuff like that I was just like, damn, I can't communicate,
How did you make friends? How did you get out of that?
Man, shout out to my guy, Daniel Vasquez. It's crazy because he's my personal trainer now.
Okay.
That dude, I met him in third grade and he would translate for me. Like, the days he wasn't there would suck.
I mean, that adjustment is kind of rough.
And that's what it was. It was like one of those where I had to learn. It was like I didn't have a choice. So, and like I said, good people. Another one of my good friends, he didn't speak Spanish too good, and I didn't speak English too good.
Okay.
So then he was like my neighbor, and we started linking up. So we would have to figure out how to communicate. So he helped a lot because I could actually practice speaking with him. At the house,
Learning Spanish, and then you've got a solid foundation there, and probably even like read, write, right? So you probably lucked out that way.
I mean, yeah, for sure. I had already gone to school, and in Mexico, school is pretty tough, man. They make you do a lot.
Yeah.
Make you write a lot. They look at your penmanship. They want you to write good. So coming here, school wasn't actually too hard compared to the stuff they make us do over there. And we had like food here. Over there, they don't.
That's true. Yeah.
There's no cafeteria over there.
Whatever you get, in your little lunch or whatever that they send you off with, right?
That my mom would walk to the. We had a loving mother, so she would walk to the school and give us like burritos.
No way. You had it good.
And shit. Yeah. She'd give us $5 to go to the little store and buy chips and stuff. So, like I said, we didn't have a lot, but they made the little bit we had work. And from there, really, I went to school. I did good. I never even needed like ESL classes or nothing. My sister's really smart too, man. She she worked for like Channel 5, for Telemundo. So she was like a crazy role model for me.
That's awesome.
So it was like my sister would get straight A's, bro. No B's, nothing. Like
older sister or what?
Yeah, only sister.
Okay.
She was so smart that when we came from Mexico, she already spoke English from just watching cartoons and things like that.
That's awesome.
So it was always like, she was always on my ass too, Yeah. So that helped.
Cool. Is that why you gravitated towards film? Just because she was into that stuff or what?
She, when I was in high school, so basically I went all through elementary, which I started at Westwood Elementary, did a year there, went to Arthur Elementary and we did like 4th, 5th grade there. And then I went to Roosevelt. Roosevelt is like when I went there, it was listed like number 2 worst school in the nation or something like that.
Not a good list to be on.
No. There was kids with ankle monitors already. There was kids in there selling weed, doing all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
at that age is like, whoa, you know, like right now when people tell me my kid's about to go to Roosevelt or Jefferson, I'm like, I hope it's different, because that's when you start seeing stuff that I don't know if kids over here in Edmonton.
Right. Well, the thing is too,
you know?
I mean, the thing that I also see is like now you don't see a lot of gangs. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the different time or something. But back in the day, it seems like there was more gangs around.
There was more gangs. I feel like now though the youngsters are crazy too. Though they shoot, they listen to NBA YoungBoy, and
that's true. But we had NWA, we had Dr. Dre. I mean, we had Snoop.
Honestly, bro, I feel like the young generation is way worse than.
You think so?
Way worse.
Here, I'm thinking it's the opposite.
No, if you do your research, bro, these youngsters, they're doing some wicked stuff, and then talking about it, and like look up Julio Fulio when you get a chance. That guy is disrespectful, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, they're crazy. So it's I think the new generation is wild, but I mean back then it was. I don't know how middle school is. I would like to go and just shadow, see how. Yeah. But back then it was pretty bad. Like you said, the gangs was huge. So it was if I would have went to U.S. the next move from Roosevelt was U.S. Grant.
Okay.
Which I personally feel like if I would have went to U.S. Grant, it would have been bad for me, because all my friends went there. It was like it would have been like a popularity contest and all that. So. My parents sent me to it was a college prep school, so it wasn't it was public school, but it was inside OCCC, so it was like a
charter type school.
Yeah. It was academic, so they didn't have sports. They would make us write essays, do like multi-genre projects.
That sounds cool.
It was pretty cool, man.
You enjoyed it, or you were like, hey, I miss my friends, this sucks, or how'd you feel at the time?
It wasn't too bad, man, because a lot of my friends, I could still see them like on the weekends, and it was cool, man. My sister went there too, so I knew that it was going to be good for me, and it was inside a college, so it was pretty cool. And I'm glad I went there, because I think like we would read and write a whole lot, and I think that just made me be able to put things together better.
Yeah.
And then that's where I got into this journalism program at OU. It was like a summer program. Mm-hmm. My sister had gone to it, and then she told me to do it also. So I would follow her steps, you know.
That's cool.
She worked at Brahms too, and then I went and worked at Brahms. So everything I would do like later down the line.
Well, it's good that she was the good role model and not the opposite.
Exactly.
So that's good, right?
She was always a hard worker, so I always knew I had high expectations from the gate, you know. And then once I went to that journalism camp, they allowed me to do a whole article on homelessness, I remember.
Okay.
So I went out downtown. I found some homeless people, did a story on them, took pictures of them. Really got to hang out with. I remember there was a guy named Tony. He was an old veteran, and I just really got to be a journalist, like deep.
Like hands-on, for sure.
Hands-on. It was a 2-week program, so we stayed at OU, and then we would wake up and go work like we were at a newspaper with people that worked at newspapers. So it was legit, you know. From there, I fell in love with media, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
You did like a deep dive into the filmmaking, right? Because you were doing even like music videos, like you were doing all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well,
right?
the journalism camp came first, and then I remember I went to it, and I got the main cover. Like we had to work on a whole newspaper, you know. Back then they would actually do newspaper.
Yeah.
So the picture I took made it to the front cover. So then that showed me that I was a good photographer.
That's cool.
And then my story was like a full-on story that I wrote. It was like a 2-page. So then I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like I made my sister proud, kind of, you know. Like she had been on there, and then I went on to the same program and did really good. And after that, it was like the problem was always that I didn't have my papers, you know, my green card.
Yeah.
So I knew all through high school that I was gonna hit a gap.
There's like a ceiling. No matter how hard you tried, there was gonna be that ceiling.
Like there was gonna be. I was gonna get denied for scholarships. I didn't qualify for FAFSA. So this whole time in the back of my head, I'm like, damn. You know, I'm still doing my work. I'm still doing everything, but I knew that it was gonna be a disappointment when I tried to go apply for a college and it wasn't gonna work. So then that's when I started looking into like doing videography.
Okay.
And I would do like wedding. My dad he put a business together. So he was like, your sister takes pictures, you do videos, because I would do like little YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Even at that age, you were already kind of playing around with media and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like once I went to that journalism camp, they gave me my first camera, and back then it was like a little VHS thing.
Like a handy cam, like a little...
Kinda.
Yeah, okay.
So you would take out this little thing, put it in this big ass box, and then you would see the footage back on the computer, you know? So then I was like, holy crap, like I can take this footage, throw it on here, and just cut it up however. And that was the first time I did that with that homeless person.
Okay.
I wish I still had all that stuff.
Was it digital or was it like old school?
It
like
was
tape?
digital. It was tape, but
Okay.
then that little reader thing would turn it into a...
Convert it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but now it's just an SD card. You plug it in
easier.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And back then you had to have that whole console or whatever. When I seen that happen, I knew my sister had a camera at the house.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just went over there, put it on video mode, and I would do skits. So I was like, this is not that hard. Like,
Yeah.
I'll do angle one here, angle over here. And then I would do
awesome.
like skits, bro. I would sit there and then I'd act as like an interrogator. And I'd
switch
sit
it.
over here and then be the other character.
Yeah.
Back then, there was a lot of YouTubers that would do skits and things like that. So I was like, man, I'm going to be a YouTuber, you know?
Do you remember some of those YouTubers that you kind of like looked up to?
Yeah, man. I remember Timothy DeLaGhetto.
Oh, yeah.
Which he blew up. Who else? Alpha Cat, he would do parodies. A lot of them went on to be like Vine guys.
Probably like PD Flow or some of those guys.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
PD Flow. Honestly, PD
Yeah.
Flow was a huge... like, I would look at his edits and everything. Eventually, he became like... that
I
was
think he
it.
does movies, I think, now.
Yeah, he's a director, like legit. Like basically, you would see a video with Timothy DeLaGhetto and then the Cholo Adventures dudes.
Yeah.
And you could tell when they filmed it, and then you could tell when PD Flow.
Just like the quality would
yeah,
jump.
bro, the production. Even though, and you could tell it was still low budget too, but he would fucking make some crazy stuff. So there was another Asian guy, I forgot, Freddie W, I think. He was one that I would, like, it blew my mind. He would do crazy stuff, man. And then from there, my dad would see that I did skits and stuff like that. And then he seen my sister did photography.
Okay.
So then he put the two and two together and was like, look, I'm going to invest in camera gear, a computer, and he made business cards. So then he started booking events.
Yeah.
And he would just pay us to do the video or whatever.
Were you excited about that, or were you like, well, I just want to do it for fun, or how'd you feel
No,
about
I
it?
remember he would give me $400 per event to
Okay.
just film and then edit the video.
So as a kid, you're like, hey, heck yeah, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 16. Really, I was like 14, 15 when I first picked up the camera, and then I was like 16 when I actually was doing like quinceañeras and weddings and all that. And I mean, it was easy. Really, it was just like go film the event and then find some music and make a music video type thing to it.
Yeah.
From there, we did that year, like a couple, like 10 years, probably 9 years. And then eventually that's when, all throughout that time, I'm going to film school. Well, I finished high school. And then when I went to film school, I realized that they kind of make fun of people that do events and,
Okay.
you know, like...
They just don't take them serious, or what?
They don't.
Yeah.
They like OCCC is a great film program, but it is a lot of real filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking at things like in a massive scale, you know.
Yeah.
I remember one guy, he was asking us what we wanted to do with this film stuff, and he was, I mean, you guys want to be big directors. You don't want to just own a little production warehouse here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, I kind of do.
They just, I mean, that's kind of like a bad take on his part, because he wasn't seeing there's multiple avenues,
Exactly.
right? Like,
I was
you can
just
be an
like-
entrepreneur and do your own thing, right?
I'm like, bro, I'd rather do that than have to be a teacher at OCCC when I'm 60, with all due respect, you know?
Right.
So we weren't just seeing eye to eye, and
Yeah.
it was too intense. But I did take it serious because I failed directing one semester, and then I went back and retook it. So, and I was paying out of pocket for this, so it wasn't like FAFSA was paying it. Like I was working at Gold's Gym at the time, cutting hair, doing everything I could to pay for my college. You know, so I'm very proud of that because a lot of people would have free college and they still wouldn't even use it.
Right. Yeah. And what was that like? You sort of still love doing videos and everything, or you're like, hey, I'm not really getting what I need out of here. I could be more creative on my own.
Exactly. So I was already making money doing videos, and with the film stuff, I realized that they wanted to shoot movies. So I was like, I don't have the money to shoot a good movie. I don't have money to pay actors. I don't have money to do none of it, you know. So
production, cameras, lighting. I mean, it could add up quick.
It's gonna be if I shoot a movie right now, it's gonna be a bunch of favors. Who wants to go work for free, bro? Like,
right.
So then I thought I would sit there and write, man. I would journal, like literally in class, write out like what am I gonna do with my life? Because from 18 to I graduated at 18, so then around that time I'm thinking, how am I gonna do this? Like, I don't have scholarships. I don't have FAFSA. Some colleges might not even take me.
Yeah.
So then...
And then this guy's telling me movies are the only route. And I don't want to do movies.
Exactly. I don't have the money for movies. I would love to do movies, but, bro, I'm struggling to pay tuition right now.
Yeah.
So it was just like too much. And then at the time I was working at Gold's Gym, and I was still doing like events here and there, but my dad had kind of like stepped away already. So it was just me doing it. So I was booking the events. I was doing everything, So it was less of them. I was still doing it, but I had gotten a really good job at Gold's Gym through a friend. And then I kind of just started doing that for a couple years while I was going to school. And then eventually that tuition money that I was paying, I was like, I'm just going to buy gear, bro. Like, instead of paying these, I think $1,000 every quarter or whatever, I was like, I'm just gonna go buy a camera and better camera, because at the time I had whatever I was using to do the quinceañeras and stuff, but I was like, now it's time for me to like invest for real to do music videos, do all these other type of things. So then that's what I did. I dropped out of film school.
And you had that entrepreneur mindset. You're like, I'm gonna do my own thing from the gate, or what?
Yeah, kind of. I was working at Gold's Gym too, so that was an awesome job, because I would open the gym at 4:30 a.m. and then I would be off by 1 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So then I had the rest of the day,
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I would be meeting people at the gym all day. So then I'd be like, yeah, bro, after I get off, I'll just cut you up. And then I would cut hair at my mom's house in the garage.
Yeah.
So it was real convenient. Like,
we skipped over that. How did that even start? How did you start cutting hair all of a sudden?
Cutting hair, man. When I was doing quinceañeras and weddings and all that, it was probably like 11th grade year, because late 11th grade, because I started doing the quinceañeras and all that stuff like my freshman, sophomore year. So by that time, I was already deep in it. Like every weekend, booked, every Saturday, sometimes Friday and Saturday. So I had no life. It was just like those 2 years. It was just too much, man. I was working at Brahms. So I would wake up, go to school, and then get off of school, and then go home, shower, go work at Brahms from, I think my shift was 5 to 11, and then I would get off at 11, go home, shower, go to sleep, wake up at 7 again, go to school, and then
just repeat.
And then on Saturdays I had an event. So then sometimes I'd get off at 11 and be like, man, I gotta edit these videos.
Jeez.
So then I'll stay up all night and then just go to school the next day. Like, I was just on go, And eventually I was just like, man, this video stuff is getting tiring already. So and
it gets repetitive. If you're just doing quinces or weddings, it's
bro.
like always the same thing. It's hard to be creative at times.
It was the same
repetitive,
thing.
right?
And people were happy with it, but to me, it was the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
To that person, it was different because it was their event. Right. But eventually I was just like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Like, I just don't, No disrespect or no downplay to anybody that does it if they love it, but I didn't love it anymore. And I was just like cutting hair. I remember being in high school, going to the Barber College on 25th and Agnew on the south side.
Okay.
And man, the vibe was always awesome in there, bro. I remember always I loved the smell of the barbershop. Everybody in there laughing, listening to music. Like, it was a good place.
And you would just go in at first just to get your haircut there?
Okay. Yeah. So I never had an edge up before. Like, I would get the Estetica cuts. Like,
oh, nice.
Spiky with the moco de gorilla,
Nice.
And eventually, I forgot who told me, but they were like, go there, bro. They do designs. And so I went. They gave me like my first edge up, and I had like a star on my head.
Funny story about that. When I was a kid, my dad took me there, and there was a kid that was kind of learning how to do it. The dude cut my ear, man, with the scissors. And he was freaking out.
It happens,
he like
man.
called like his mentor, like, hey, come over here, like come check him out.
So he
I was
got
like,
you good?
He got me like he cut me pretty good. I was bleeding, so
It's
I
part of it.
definitely know that place that you're talking about.
Yeah. Man, it was vibes in there, bro. You would see the older lady come in with the rolls in her hair, and
Yeah, because it was cheap haircuts. So
Yeah,
they're,
for sure.
they're trying to teach everybody, right?
And some dudes in there, you could see that they really were taking care of business because they had tickets, and it would be like 12 tickets for Jeremy. Like, damn, Jeremy's getting it, you know?
Yeah.
And that was my first time I seen the barbershop vibes. And then I had this lady that would cut my hair. Her name was Araceli. Shout out to Araceli, because I would tell her, like, man, she was like my therapist for 6-7 years.
It's always like that. The barbershop is kind of like therapy for guys, man.
And I would tell her, like, oh, I got this new job or this or that. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of like cutting hair.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I think you can do it. Like, you know what kind of haircuts you like. And I would be picky with my haircuts because she would allow me to be, you know, she'd be like, like, te gusta, or what do you want different? Or if I had like a design, I'd bring it to her, and she would like get it on point every time. So she's like, you obviously know what a good haircut looks like.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, you'll be able to do it. And she would walk me through, like, look, I'm using a half, I'm using a 1 as she's cutting my hair.
So she's kind of cutting and teaching you.
Exactly.
As she's going. That's cool.
And she would put me on the mirror and show me as she's doing it. So then I'm like, okay, you know, like I get the gist of it. And then I had a friend, her name is Karina. Shout out to Karina. She had been going to Metro Tech while she was in high school. Yeah. And we worked at Brahms together. She was just a hustler too, you know. And I seen after she finished school, she started working at an Estetica. Okay. Because for those people out there that are in high school and you want to get your license, go to Metro Tech, because you literally will be licensed as soon as you finish high school.
At home too, so they spend years doing it without a license too, which that they could be investing that time getting a license too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to pay to play is basically what it is. And when you're in high school and you already know you're going to cut, I mean, just do your hours there, get out, pass the test. And that's what my friend Karina did. Okay. So I went and got a haircut with her. She was at an Estetica. And I was like, damn, they hired you up here? And I mean, I grew up with Karina, so I'm like, that's crazy, you know?
You're like, if you could do it, I could do it.
That's what I told her too. And she, to this day, she still gets so mad because I was like, I'm going to cut hair and I'm going to be better than you, Kari. And she didn't talk to me for like a couple of years because I said that to her. And then now we've worked together. Like, she worked at one of the shops. So, and if anything, she motivated me to go do that. So I thank her for that, you know? And basically, bro, after I realized that the video stuff wasn't going to be my lifelong career, barbering had already been in the back of my head since high school. Like I said, when I knew in high school that I wasn't going to do this video stuff forever, I was like, what do I like to do? So then I would realize that I would spend hours at the barbershop waiting for my haircut, even though... like, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't be in there mad that I'm waiting.
So you would purposely get there early just to hang out and stuff?
Yeah, because I'd be looking at how they cut, or I would like the smell of the barbershop weirdly, like, you know, the chemicals that are...
Or even the powder and stuff.
Yeah, man. Right? Like, I would be like, man, this smells good. It feels good. It feels clean in here. You know, I would take a book and just read in there. At the barber college, it was a waiting game every time. So I would go in there and look at people do the designs. And then that's when I realized, I was like, if I spend hours in there without having to, let me try it. And then I ran across this dude on YouTube, Jay the Barber from Easy Blade shaving products. Shout out to him. He used to sell these DVDs for $30, and it would teach you the basics of barbering. So then I bought the DVDs, and then while I'd be at school, I would finish my work or whatever, pop into the DVDs, and it would walk you through step by step how to do a simple haircuts, you know, a bald fade, a taper. Really, he taught you everything. Like, go get these clippers, these trimmers, this comb, put this clip on for this. So I would sit there and just like walk through the videos without ever cutting anybody. Just like, I bought the clippers, bought everything, and didn't cut anybody for like 3-4 months probably. Okay. I would just be familiar with the clips, you know? And then when I finally felt comfortable, I just got my homies to.
Yeah. Who was the first one? Do you remember that first one? Were you nervous?
He's still my client now.
Okay, so you did good then.
Yeah, shout out to my guy Tommy, man. He
Yeah.
would see me in class, like watching the videos, and then he was just like, "Well, yeah, bro, bring your stuff tomorrow." And then when everybody went to lunch, we stayed upstairs, and I cut them up, and it wasn't terrible, you know.
Really?
It wasn't crispy, like it wasn't, but I didn't mess.
What
them
did he
up.
ask for? Like, what kind of style did he ask for?
I think it was a 4 on top, so it was pretty simple. A 4 on top, and just the edge up, you know.
Yeah. And then you blended it kind of decent.
You went to Supercuts, Tommy, you
Yeah.
know? Like,
Hey, that's good. I'll take that.
yeah. So I ran with it, and then I was working at Brahms at the time still. So the weekends I didn't have events, I started with free haircuts. And to this day, man, when I need something, I go to Facebook, and people laugh at me because if I need a DJ or whatever, I'm like, hey,
I've seen
guys.
some of that. When you're planning your stuff, you're like, hey, I need some chairs or something.
Yeah,
right?
boom. And I
Yeah.
started, and that's what I did there. I got on Facebook and I was like, hey, I'm doing free haircuts. I'm learning how to cut. And I started from there, and I would just take pictures of every cut and took it from there, you know. And eventually we went from free to $5 to $10. And then at Brahms, I would make like $60 a shift.
Yeah.
So then I realized, man, I could make this cutting hair. And I went to Estetica Galilea when I was about 16, 17, probably 17 by then. And I asked her for a job. And she was like, just come over here, bring somebody with you. And if you cut them nice, then, you know, I'll give you a job.
Cool.
So I took like 3 people, cut them up right there. And she was like, you still need work, but we can make it. We can make it
But
happen.
you had the license at that point?
No
license yet.
I told her, I was like, I can just do it after school, you know. And she was like, no, that's fine. She was like, we can make it work. So thanks to her, you know, she gave me the chance. But I had already put in the work, even though I had noticed. I mean, for months I had been watching videos. I had dove in all the way to where I'm like watching countless videos, you know, just.
People take their haircut pretty serious.
I just wanted to. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. So I would be like, if I'm gonna cut them up, I at least want to. And yeah, to this day, I like if you're ever rushing a haircut, like just don't push their edge up back. Don't. There's certain things you just don't do. You know what I'm saying? And from the beginning, I knew that. Like, don't push people's edge up back. Don't be too rough on them to where you cut them. Like there were certain things that I knew not to do.
But you kind of enjoyed it. You're like, hey, this is for me.
Yeah,
and then
man.
you decided to open up your shop, or what was
I
it?
wasn't doing it for the money. That was for sure, because I wasn't. You know, I got my station humbly put together. Probably spent like $150, $200 to put everything together, and then from there, like I said, I would just do it for free. And then I realized I would make $50, $40.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, well, I'm making like $65, $70 at Brahms. And then I went to that Estetica, and the Estetica was bad for me because it was already on a downhill. It was already kind of going on a downhill. So when I went in there, it wasn't busy. And then you got to understand, when you don't have a license and you're working somewhere, most people will take you in, but they're going to take 50%.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're going to take 50% of your earnings. They're not going to give you booth rent, and that's going to be their excuse. So I was doing better in my garage than I was in the Estetica, but in the Estetica, I was learning. I was like seeing people cut. It was a learning experience. And then from that Estetica, I went to the infamous or famous, I don't know, Lalo. I don't know if you know Lalo.
Oh, I've heard. I've never been, but I've heard.
Yeah, so I was with Lalo for about 8 months, and you know, we had the school of Lalo right there. From there, I went back to my garage, and then that's when I realized that I had to get my license, because if not, I was gonna keep getting screwed over, get paid commission, just not treat her right, you know. So then that's when I decided to find a school, and I took it serious, you know. Went and got my license, and man, while I was in school, we also had a operation going. My homie Dave and Dan, we basically went in on a building, man. We jumped in. We all had clients already, so we would just split the rent. Yeah, we took the risk. We, you know, blocked the windows, did what we had to do while we were in school, and we had it popping, man. after that, everybody kind of went their separate ways. We finally took our test, got our license, and then I worked down at Fade and Up Southside for a year and a half or so.
Okay.
With Scissorhands, Steve-O, all the OGs over there. And then from there, I decided to start my own shop. And it was kind of like a weird thing with starting my own shop. I was gonna retire as a barber, man, because
really?
I was
Why
tired. I had been going in 10 years since I had picked up my first pair of clippers to the moment I got licensed, and it was a long, tiring journey, man. Just because I was doing so much. I was doing music videos, Mo3, Kevin Gates, like some big names.
That's awesome.
And that would be by me just showing up to, like, let's say some concerts, or I was just on go, bro. Like, now I think about it, I'm like, man, it was kind of tiring coming over here to shoot the podcast. Back then, it was like I would do this, and then I'd be ready to go shoot a video and then go edit one. And it was just, eventually, I got tired, man. I was tired. And then the barbering thing was, we went through the pandemic. So then I'm sitting there thinking, like, I went through barber school. I will never have to have a job again. I got my barber's license, so I'll forever be able to just be a barber, Yeah. And then COVID happened, so they shut down barbershops. I started working with my dad when that happened, doing carpentry, because that's what he does. Did that for like 2 years or so. And throughout that time, we booked a lot of kitchens because my dad's a master carpenter. Any Nichols Hill stuff, he's top of the line, you know?
That's great.
So then I combined with him and got into the marketing, started shooting videos for him, got his stuff looking professional, and we made some good money doing that, doing cabinets, because he already had his shop set up and everything. So I worked with him when I was at Fading Up, I would work with him and then cut Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then work with my dad. COVID happened. I worked with my dad full time. And then after the shops opened back up, I tried it one more time. I was like, man, let me try this barbering stuff. I had just got my license, so I was just like, I still had that, like,
you wanted that drive, that motivation to go do it.
Yeah, bro. Like, my initial goal when I started barbering was to own shops, so I still wasn't done. Like, I would work with my dad, and I was making money with my dad. That company was moving good. I was a great addition to it because I speak good English, and it's the perfect team. My dad is a hard worker, and he does all that, and then I can sell and reach out to people, do all that. You
probably did video, photography, put that out there.
It works perfect. You know, like if you go to our page, it looks like Mathis Brothers or something.
That's awesome.
So we did that, man, and we were doing real well. So when I went back to cutting hair, I went back to Fading Up, and things just weren't the same, man. Like, and I just didn't like it anymore. It was like a hostile environment with the owner, not with Scissorhands, with the other owner. And even then, shout out to Chad too, man. Like, whatever happened. It is what it is. But I didn't like how things were moving there. I moved on, and I was like, I'm done cutting hair, man. Like, I'll just go do cabinets. It is what it is. And during that time, my dad was like, well, you already have your license, and let's just look for a spot, And then we found, at the time, Gorilla was moving from that spot on 25th. We went over there, and we took over that spot, and it's been beautiful since, man.
That's really cool. So what do you think drove that motivation, all that hustle? Was it just seeing your parents and growing up, the way you did? Like, what do you think drove that motivation?
For sure. My dad, taking the risk that he took, the sacrifice, everything's been for my sister and I. So for me to not follow through and do what I have to do would be like a slap in the face to him.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing, Definitely always wanted to make my dad proud, because my dad would be the type, you come home with a B, he's like, why isn't it an A,
Oh, man.
Yeah. So it was always like, man, I want to make my dad proud, And even that can be a toxic thing too, So I've learned, man, there's been a lot of, that's why I'm saying throughout those 10 years, there's been a lot of, not just with barbering and life, relationships, everything. I've really had to sacrifice a whole lot, you know, to, it sounds corny, but to be able to do it, you know, like, there's been a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of anxiety that comes with it.
I totally get it. I mean, you've grown as a person, and you know, I know you want to dive into that too, like the growth and becoming a better person, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. So I mean, with that, you know, like seeing my dad always pushing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you don't get to enjoy like your growth. You're kind of just always wanting more and more, and well, you know, to this day, still, I mean, I'm still kind of like that, you know. I'm like, well, I got one shop, let's do this one, and I'm still, but I'm also more appreciative of myself, you know. Like, it's okay, I don't gotta prove everything to my dad now. It's like I'm cool. I've done enough work to know my self-worth, you know,
right, yeah.
to where I don't, like, if there's certain things that my dad may. Because my dad, there's going to be days where I'm like, I'm going to spend time with my daughter. And he's like, why aren't you at work, you know?
Oh, jeez.
He's like, he's still. Yeah, so I have to learn to be my own person and still make him proud, you know? I would always put all my resources into making my dream happen. Because that's one thing I think people are afraid of doing. Like, all this stuff you have here, bro, you could have spent it on a nice vacation, you know, like whatever. What's up?
Yeah. And they just see the end product, right? Like, I'm sure people look at you and they're just like, must be nice.
Exactly.
But they don't know all the grind, all the hard work, all the years you put into it, right?
No, and that's whenever you invited me, I was like, bro, this guy's setup is legit. I know what it takes for you to have such a crisp setup.
Mm-hmm.
It looks simple, but it's a lot of thinking and a lot of trial and error to get it to where it's this simple and effective, you know?
Make it look easy and professional.
Exactly, man. And over the years, I struggled a lot, bro. Like, I didn't know what type of computer I needed. Shout out to Rogelio Almeida.
Okay.
Bro, I would have...
Roy's the GOAT.
People like that. I went and found mentors outside of school or whatever. And that's what I would tell people is like, don't rely on college. Don't rely on university to teach you what you need to learn. Like, you can literally, if somebody wants to learn about podcasting, they could come to you, and then you're a teacher there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And always bring value to the table too. Don't just show up and say, "Hey, like, teach me." You know what I'm saying? Right. No, like, "Hey, do you need help? Can I come in and clean your office or whatever?" You know what I'm saying?
Let me work for free. Let me like just intern. Let me provide value first before I ask for something.
Exactly,
right?
man. Yeah. So I would always do that. You know, every place I've worked at, I wouldn't care about necessarily the pay. I would be like, okay, how can I, you know, get better? And even though I'd be at the Estetica sometimes 8 hours and not do one haircut, I would be thankful that I had my station there and I could be learning. So it was. You know, it's always, you always got to be thankful for that. Yeah,
there's been a lot of innovation in barbering too, though, because I feel like back in the day, it wasn't too cool to be a barber. Now it's like they're a rock star, right? Like, you ever see like
I do
Vic
think,
Blends, you know, Vic Blends on TikTok?
I think whenever I started, honestly, is when the influencers were coming about.
Okay.
Because I remember, so it was Jay the Barber, the one that I bought the DVDs from. Mm-hmm. He was kind of underground. He didn't quite hit the Target and like Pacino's. Pacino's came in around the same time, and he had product inside Target and Walmart, and like he really took it to a whole. But whenever I started Pacino's, it wasn't Vic Blends. It was Vic the Barber. The OGs know.
Okay.
I think Randy's Cakin' or something like that. He has the legendary taper video. It's like a tutorial, and you go to YouTube and put in taper tutorial.
This first one.
It's the guy with some red clippers, and the guy has like a like long hair back here. Mm-hmm. So that video, anybody that wanted to learn how to do a taper, they seen that video, you know?
Yeah.
So it started to be cool around that time. Mm-hmm. Now it's on a whole nother level, bro. I mean, the clippers are crazy. They got batteries.
I mean, there's almost like celebrity barbers. There's people doing like mobile, like, hey, we'll pull up to your spot. Like, people get flown to go cut hair. Man. I mean, it's crazy.
That's why barbering, I said if I ever do a movie, it's going to be about a barber.
Yeah.
And the whole plot of it will be like, it can be any kid that comes from the bottom as a minority. Let's say it's either the hood or even a kid in Mexico, bro, in Guatemala, that you could cut hair wherever. You know what I'm saying? So like you could literally with a pair of clippers make it to like a world stage in like a Vegas expo or something, just because you cut hair, not even for anything else, you know?
Yeah. I saw when you opened up your second location, you had your event and you had a competition with the barbers there, right?
So that was like a mini thing just to see if it would work, and it did. You know, we got a lot of feedback back from the city. Like a lot of barbers wanted to join. So now I'm just running with the barber thing, man, because like I said, it took an investment of like $200 for me to get all my clippers, combs, everything I needed. And then from those $200, like in 12 years, now I have, you know, the 2 shops and, like right now we have a lot of stuff just boiling up. So it's been 12 years of sitting there, you know?
Yeah, lots of sacrifice, lots of dedication, right?
And not just on my part, my mom, my dad, you know, they've, because throughout that journey, I did get lost, man. Like, I'm doing videos, I'm hanging out with rappers and that lifestyle. I went from working at Gold's Gym and being super disciplined to now I quit that job and I'm full-time director, barber. So I'm on my own time now. Like, I can not work.
Is it hard to stay motivated when you have that much freedom? Is it hard?
It was, man, because so this is how it went down. I was working at Gold's and I had already dropped out of film school. I had already bought a camera. I had bought a little drone. I had everything I needed, but I was still working at Gold's Gym. So I made it from front desk assistant to sales to assistant manager at Gold's. Okay. In like a 3-year span or so, 2.5-year span. My next step was to be GM of Gold's Gym. But being an assistant manager, I realized I didn't want to do the corporate life. So then I quit. I thought about it. I had all the gear. I already had a couple clients. I was already cutting hair. So I was like, if I don't do this now, which at the time I was like 22 years old, 21, 22. I was like, if I don't do this now, when I get older and I have kids and all that, it's going to be even harder.
Regret, right?
Yeah. So I jumped in, man. And I remember the day I quit, my GM, which Donald at the time, he's like, hey, man, like, I get it. You want to do this now, but he's like, maybe set yourself up before you jump out. Yeah. So at the time, I'm not thinking like what he's telling me. He's maybe saying like, maybe go get approved for a house first, you know, do all these things that self-employed people don't know. Sure. You know, I have like $1,000 in my bank account. Yeah. I was like, I put my 2 weeks in, bro. Like, this is it, you know? And then, so he was like, you know, I support you, bro. You do what you got to do. And then I remember, shout out to Stephanie, man. She's a personal trainer also. She was one of the first people that when I told her, she was like, congratulations, I'm happy for you. Like, genuinely. Because most people that I told before, like, I quit and I'm going to jump in, were like, damn, bro, like, you sure you can do it?
They're like putting doubt, right? Like, hey, what are you doing this? You get a paycheck.
Like,
here,
bro, you're
right?
a manager. Why would you, you know, or things like this is scarcity, you know? And that lady was the only one that was like, I'm proud of you, you know? Like, congratulations. And I'm like, congratulations.
But I mean, that's cool to have that support, right? Because I'm sure you're probably second guessing at times, like, hey, maybe they're right. I don't know. It's going to be kind of scary to make this jump, right?
Yeah. So for her to say that, congratulations. And she was a hustler, you know. So it wasn't like it was anybody that just said it. It was the top seller in the gym that was like. Yeah. And then I remember months after that, she sent me a message and she was like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that you leaving." And I would always tell her because she would train. I seen her come into that gym with no clients. And within 3 months, she was booked out like to the max. So at Gold's Gym, same thing as cutting hair. When you work for them, they keep 50 or 60 and you get a percentage. So I would tell her, like, Stephanie, literally, if you go somewhere else and you train half the people, you're going to be making still double the amount you're making here. And she would be like, no, I can't do it. Or I don't have insurance or... excuses that she would tell herself. And then like months later, she was like, hey, I finally took your advice. Like on that question you asked me, what do I want to talk about? If anything, you know, everything I've been through and done and all that, the biggest thing is like becoming the strongest version of yourself so you can help others do the same. I feel like at the end of the day, that's going to be my my goal. Like,
that's like your legacy you want to leave behind.
Yeah, bro. Be remembered as ya cuando se acabe todo el pedo. It's like, yeah, I got better. You know, I fell a couple times. But at the end of the day, I got better, and then I helped others get better also.
Yeah, because that growth is not only business. It's not only, you know, running your dreams. It's also health. It's also like being a better person. Also inspiring, helping others. Like there's a lot that goes into that. You know?
Exactly, man. And I think that for sure that keeping that in mind has always helped me. You know, in the darkest of times, I've always thought like, man, I need to be the strongest version of myself at some point. That way I can be able to help others. Because if I've always liked to help others, but how am I going to help others when I'm not good, you know?
Yeah.
So over the years, you know, I've worked, and it's still a work in progress, you know, but no, for sure, man. I would say, whoever's in the journey, just be careful to not get lost. Because throughout all that time, there was times where I was just like, man, I'm doing videos, cutting hair, doing this, doing that. Yeah. And it was too much, you know, to where I did start going to drinking or partying, or like it got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of working, bro. Like I've been working since I was in 9th grade around the clock. So
like
now
I'm ready to retire.
I'm ready to go party, you know? So for the time I was 21 to 27, I partied, you know? And that's why it took me so long too, you know, to like get my barber's license and all that. I mean, I had fun throughout the time being, but I would advise any young barber or self-employed person, don't fall into the trap of drinking and making money and going and spending it, because it's toxic, you know?
Yeah, especially being a barber, sometimes you get paid cash, right? So you've got all that cash at the end of the day. It's kind of easy to like just blow it off that one day, and then you still have the rest of the week, you know?
And that's what would happen, man. Whenever I quit Golds, it actually started going really good for a little bit. Like people would come in and, we want a wedding, so they'd drop off a deposit. So now I got a deposit, and I'm doing haircuts, and I can work whenever I want. So then that's when you start messing up, you know, because you don't have to show up to work. Like before, I had people that I had to be accountable to, and then out of nowhere, I don't have anybody, you know. As long as I finish edit these videos, and and it can you need structure at the end of the day. And if you're young, and you just have to be careful with that. If you're young making money, just don't go party, man.
Yeah. How'd you learn to do, you know, money management? Also your credit, like you have to manage all that. If you're going to be a business owner, your credit has to be on point. Your money management has to be on point.
So see, like with my credit, I was doing great, because what I did is I never had big lump sums of money. So when I found out about credit, the first thing I did is went to Best Buy and started using that card to like buy cameras. I would pay it back, and then, you know, that's how I started doing it. And I did well, man. Like I had a great credit score for a long time, and eventually when I started barber school's tough, man.
Yeah.
You gotta be there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then pay your monthly tuition. Like I said, I never qualified for no grants or anything like that. So you're having to go there all day and pay them every month. So it was hard, you know what I'm saying? Like where at that point, the only time I could work was after school, which was like 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. I would do my haircuts or whatever, paying tuition with my credit card. So the way I would think about it is I'm seeing all these kids go to college with student loans, and they're coming out with $30,000 in debt, 60, whatever, big amounts, you know? So in credit cards, I probably ran it up like 4,000 on credit cards. So then when I finished school, it wasn't too bad. You know, I was like, I had some debt, but it wasn't
terrible.
It wasn't no 60,000 or whatever. So then, but I did miss payments, and in the gist of all that, got depressed, did all kinds of stuff, and messed up my credit. You know, and it's easy to mess it up. Like, it's super hard to build it up, but 2 months of falling off the wagon and
right. I mean, even one missed payment that like your score drops
on the car payment. When you miss those, they never go away. So whoever pulls your credit is always going to see that you missed a car payment.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I missed like 2 car payments or did them late or something. And that's how I learned, bro. I had a credit card, a couple credit cards go to collections. And once they got to collections, man, I was told not to pay them. And I had to go get a credit repair guy. So I messed my credit up, and it took me like 6 years to fix it.
Okay.
So don't mess up your credit, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
especially if you want to open up a business and everything. I mean, that's going to be critical to have a good credit score.
It was terrible, bro. It was terrible. Like I said, if I wouldn't have went and built kitchens with my dad, a bank wouldn't have let me borrow money to open a barbershop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it was just basically off of us getting it, you know? And even now, you know what I'm saying? They'll let you. I recently got a house, so that was awesome. Like, shout out to Elsa, shout out to Vance that helped me with my credit. All these people have really put me on game to be able to understand what my taxes are even supposed to look like or any of that. But even now, like, I don't know, bro. To go to a bank and ask for a loan of $30,000-$40,000 to open up a barbershop, takes a.
It's tough. I mean, you have to have all your ducks in a row. I'm sure they're going to want a business plan.
Yeah.
They're going to make sure you have your licenses in place, your credit score in place. I mean, there's going to be a lot of
stuff. The income that's coming in, no matter, like, that's another thing I learned is no matter if you have a 700, 800 credit score, if in your taxes it shows you're not making any profit, it doesn't matter. Like, it's great you can pay on time, but you don't have enough dough to pay for anything else, you know?
Yeah. What would be the best advice? Like, maybe top 3 tips that you could give somebody to be able to pursue that dream?
Top 3, damn. Take the risk for sure, you know? You got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes.
Yeah.
Also, though, maybe if it was me telling myself this advice, don't rush too fast. Like, now that I look back on it, what Donald was telling me that day in the office, saying, like, set yourself up before you quit.
Yeah.
Like,
makes sense now.
Yeah, you know, I think as a man, he didn't want to, like, tell me what to do or whatever. But maybe if he would have explained it to me, I would have been like, oh shit, you know. Sometimes that's what we need to do too, is explain things to the younger generation without being afraid of judgment or whatever, you know. Like, exactly what I'm doing right now. You know, I could easily be like, yeah, those shops are all me and I just did what I had to do and this and that. But no, you know, that's not what it is. Like, me and my dad teamed up, you know, we put some dough together, and right now is not what it looks like either. You know, like, we're still making some of that money back. We're still hoping that it works how we planned it. It's still not quite what it is, you know. But I think sharing truthful information with young people is important.
Cool. I always ask my guests, if I pull up your playlist, who am I going to find on your playlist? So what kind of stuff do you listen to?
I've been getting into the corrido waves. That boy Canelo, man, he got me on Luis R. Luis R has been, I bumped that hard. Fuerza Regida, you know, their stuff is fire. As far as the hip hop, man, Mo 3, you know, the rest in peace Mo 3, that was my favorite rapper. I still listen to Mo 3 probably every day, every other day. Little Baby, I would say, is up there. I think that's probably the
main ones.
The main ones, bro.
That's very cool. Before we wrap up, let's talk about this back to school event.
Back to school event, man. We're doing cuts for the kids right there in the Calle Dos Cinco district. We're doing a cookout, so we'll have like burgers. My buddy from Taqueria Lupitas, Elias, will be out there on the grill.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, bro, if you want to come out.
Elias, Ivan, everybody, they're awesome.
Yeah, bro, they're all awesome, bro. We just did the grand opening for the second shop. and his wife brought out the folkloric group. They came out and catered it.
I do want to call Elias out with that apron that he had on. I was like, wait a minute. And I was like, oh, that's the apron. He had it looked like he wasn't wearing a shirt, right?
Yeah, he was feeling naughty that day, man.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
No, that's my guy, bro. They're good people over there. And same thing, you know, they're working their ass off, you know, just to make the business work. A lot of people don't see all the grind. But yeah, this event, we're going to have moonbounds, free haircuts from 4 to 7. Just a community event, man. And that's really what I plan on doing. Now that I have all these barbers and everything, I'm going to plan a lot of events, you know, to bring to the community. And like this one's going to be free, you know, supplies, as long until they last. You know, we're gonna have backpacks out there and stuff.
What inspired you to do that? You just kind of want to give back to the community, or what?
Yeah, definitely, bro. And I feel like I've always found joy in bringing people together and seeing everybody laugh and just have a good time. So like this last event really motivated me because it went smooth. Everything went. I'm not an event planner or nothing like that, but a lot of people were like, bro, this was like a festival. Like,
that's awesome.
It was a great event, you know? Everybody had a good time. My family had a good time. So I like doing that. And we're in the hood. We're on Capitol Hill District. So our shop is one of the shops that probably charges a little bit higher in the area. I mean, we got $5 cuts right down the street, you know? So during regular hours, people that come in, they're paying their 40, 50, 60 bucks, you know? So I figured we'd let the people that maybe can't afford that still come and enjoy the experience of the barbershop. And I mean, you've been to one of my shops. You haven't been to the one that we're going to be doing this event.
Yeah.
It's one of the I've put a lot into that shop, you know? So I'm very proud of it. And I do feel that even people from the hood deserve to enjoy a nice establishment, you know? Yeah. So we'll be doing free haircuts from 4 to 7, and we'll have about 14 barbers there. So bring as many people as you want, you know?
That's really cool. So I want to give you the stage, plug in your social media. Where can people find you? You know, both of your shops, your address, whatever you want to plug in.
Yeah, man. You can find me most days of the week on Capitol Hill District. It's 234 Southwest 25th. Right there at the Calle 25. We're also on 59th and Western. That one's 944 Southwest 59th, and is right next to Q Palace. And the shop on 25th is right next to the Coney Island. Okay. So Coney Island's been there like 70 years. Yeah. Q Palace been there forever. How we landed right next to some legendary spots, I don't know. But we plan on being legendary too. So you can come vibe with us there. If I'm not there, you know, you can find my boy Mo, Noel, Daniel, Edgar. We got Reyes over there. We got Antonia doing braids. We have a team full of people that are talented, man, and they got good vibes. So yeah. You guys can find me on Facebook at Aaron Valles AV, same on Instagram. And thank you for having me, bro. This was a blast.
It was fun. I enjoyed getting to know everything and the grind. I'm always inspired by the grind. So I definitely, when I put this together, I'm like, when I was a little kid, I wish I would have had some mentors. I wish I would have had some opportunities to learn about this stuff.
For sure.
I'm putting this out there. Hopefully it inspires somebody out there.
No, it does, bro. It inspired me, you know. So I plan on in the future hopefully doing podcasts and seeing how you have this set up. Everything is awesome, bro. So
thank you.
Keep doing it, and yeah, bro. Just don't listen to the naysayers.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, brother.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the super talented Aaron Valles AV on the Maverick Podcast. In dreams, we trust.
Thank you, bro.